Hi, my name is Stacy Sanseverino from Keller Williams Philly and the Philly Living Team, and thank you for watching my Landlord 101 guide. So today, first, we're going to discuss whether or not you've set up your complimentary investor landlord strategy session with me. If not, please text or email me to set one up. Once we've done that, I will send you the complimentary guide that goes along with this and the DIY kit for landlords for processing tenants. Also, you're welcome to download my real estate search app, which when you connect, contact for information, it goes directly to me rather than selling your information to the highest bidder, like on those other apps. Also, if you want to access all my preferred vendors, also join my Homekeeper app, where you'll see my preferred contractors, vendors, inspectors, insurance, lenders, etc. And if you're a great contractor and want to be included or a great vendor, please let me know. I'd love to work with you and see if you'd be a good fit for my clients. So, landlord readiness checklist, 9 points. First, join HAPCO. That'll keep you up to date with what's going on with the landlord tenant laws in Philadelphia. You'll also need to get your commercial activity license before you rent out any units so that the taxing authorities know that you have a business in Philadelphia. You'll also need to get for each of your rentals $50 housing license per year. So if you have a duplex, that's 2 units, so that's $100 per year. If you have two properties and they each have 3 units in, that's 6 units, so that's $300 per year. And you'll need your commercial activity license to get the housing license. And these are in order to protect your lease or enforce your lease if you have to go to court. You also need to provide the rental suitability certificate to your tenants every time you have a new tenant, and also the lead disclosure and certification. So if you've got a house before 1978, built before then, or houses with tenants under age 6, you're going to need to provide that disclosure and certification. And of course, sign up for the Philadelphia Gasworks Landlord Cooperation Protection Program. It's free for you to sign up. And basically, if your tenant skips out on the gas payment, then you're not going to be held liable so long as you help them to recoup their costs. You're also going to make sure that if you have a tenant in a commercial property, that you're going to apply for the use and occupancy tax, and then you'll pass that on to the tenant. And then, of course, if you have let's say a 1-year lease with a 60-day renewal notice deadline in which you need to make the tenants aware of any changes that you're planning on the lease, or if you want to terminate the lease, put a reminder in your phone for 90 days out. That way you can notify them 90 days out, and then you have 30 days for them to decide whether or not they will move out or they'll accept your proposed changes. And then, of course, if you're ready to sell the property, call me. All right, so for the DIY landlord, do-it-yourself landlord, first you want to create a profile and advertise on Zillow, which will then post it on Trulia and HotPads. It's not a bad idea also to set yourself up with an ad on Craigslist. Or if you're not a DIYer, you can contact the Philly Apartment Company, Mike M at phillyapartmentco.com, and they are a pay-for-performance service where they will only get paid if they find you the tenant. And if they find you the tenant, they'll also process the application, and then they will also prepare the lease. So it's a really good deal. So now the application, let's say you are continuing on your own, you will want to get a PAR, or I'll send you a PAR application form. That's Pennsylvania Association of Realtors. And that's really only needed if you have multiple competing tenants applying. So let's say you have 2 groups of 3 people applying for your unit. You'd only really need the PAR application form if you need them to fill it out on paper. And I'll tell you why in a second. I'll also give you the employment reference form that I use to check employment references, and a rental reference form to check the rental references. And to process the tenant, you'd go to rentapplication.net. I'm sure there are others out there, but this is the one that I use, and it's $39.95 that the tenant will pay for their criminal, credit, and evictions history. So if you've got a set of 2 tenants that you really like and there's no other groups of competing tenants, just send them to the portal and they will fill out that application and pay directly. They'll upload pay stubs and job offer letters, driver's license, anything that you might need supporting documentation to process their application. If you have competing tenants and you don't want to just charge them unnecessarily, then you can use that PAR application form where you have each of the parties applying, fill it out. Then you can review the competing sets of applications side by side and then pick the winning group and then have them go to the portal to fill it out online, the rentapplication.net. And then, of course, look them up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you might find them, look them up, because this is a business relationship and you want to know everything that you can about them. So for the lease, I'll be able to share with you the blank lease form from the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors and the Protect Your Home from Lead booklet that you'll need to provide them. Here are some top tips from me. I've been doing this for 18 years. I've been a landlord. So number one, you want to collect first, last, and security deposits in certified funds. Next, you want to make sure you get that first check within 3 days of approval so that they can secure the spot, and now you have a commitment from them. Should they back out, they don't get that back. And then collect the other 2 months, no less than about 3 weeks or a month prior to move-in. You'll want to immediately set up a separate rental escrow account and an interest-bearing account. Number one, you have to keep their security deposit separate from your own funds, no matter what, and from the beginning. Number two, after year one, their deposit needs to be in an interest-bearing account. So I just recommend save yourself the time and effort. Just do it from the get-go and put them in an interest-bearing account from the start. And make sure you ask your bank what forms to fill out, because there might be an extra thing or two that they need to set that up. So I always recommend getting a current and a prior landlord and employer's reference. And I trust the prior landlord's reference more because they have no vested interest in whether or not the tenant moves out of their current residence. So take that for what it's worth. Also, require renter's insurance. Your landlord's policy does not cover their belongings. If there's a fire, their contents will be destroyed and they will come after you. So you need to make sure that your tenants are covered. They can also name you as an additional insured on their policy for free. So make sure they do that. And then lastly, get an umbrella insurance policy for your property. So your primary residence, your rental residence, and your car. And max out your liability. I think you can max it out at like $1 million. Because if somebody trips and falls, you want to make sure that you are covered and all your assets are covered. A thing about pets. So allowing pets will give you a huge pool of renters in Philadelphia. I love pets. I have pets. Here's some caveats though. For dogs, keep in mind that there may be insurance issues with certain breeds of dogs, and also it might be harder for you to access the property for maintenance and visits if there are larger dogs maintained on the property. And number two, cats. So I've experienced where cats go in the basement with their litter box, and then they use the edges of the room as a kitty litter box. So I recommend that only take cats if the tenant promises that they will not let them in the basement and that the kitty litter will be kept upstairs. A note about therapy dogs or service animals: they are not pets. They are 100% allowed 100% of the time. So keep that in mind. If somebody says that they have a therapy dog, just ask that they provide documentation. That is your right as a landlord, but they absolutely are allowed to have that, even if you would otherwise not allow pets. So when I meet with an investor client, I want to know the following. Have they considered, where in the city they're looking for? Because you can get a great deal in an area, but if you wouldn't feel comfortable to go pick up the rent check, that might not be a great area for you. If you have a price range in mind, we're going to run several scenarios, what it would look like to put the money down, and what the rent rolls look like in that area compared to what you can put down and the price point that you're looking at. Do you have a cap rate in mind for a rental? So that's where you figure out the net operating income, and based on the sales price, that basically tells you how much money you're making every year on that investment. Or do you have an amount of profit that you want to make if you're flipping a property? Are you going to keep the property or are you going to renovate it and resell it? And if you're buying a property with tenants or for a rental, do you want to inherit tenants that have already been paying and have a track record, or do you want a chance to wipe the slate clean and maybe do some freshening up and then renting it to a new pool of renters? Do you want to do work to the property, and if so, how much is too much? So we'll talk about that as well. Do you have an ideal number of units for buildings, for the buildings that you buy, and how many per year? So I have a bunch of single families and I have a duplex, and some people might say, I only want to buy triplexes. And they're like less than 1% of buildings in Philadelphia are duplex and triplex. So, you got to weigh your options of getting a property versus waiting for that triplex that pops up. Will you be buying in your own name, or will you be buying in an LLC name? Are you going to be buying with or without partners? Do you have financing lined up, or are you paying cash? And also, do you need an attorney or an accountant? So these are all questions that we would discuss at your investor strategy session. I find most of the times when I meet with people, they haven't thought about it before. And these are all really great questions to be asking, because you make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. And that's why when you hire me, I'm going to be looking out for your long-term investment interests. So working with me, I've been doing this for 15 years as a sales professional and over 18 years as a landlord in Philadelphia. I love to create long-lasting advisory relationships with clients that are based on mutual trust and respect, and your top priority before and after the sale. So just a note about me, if you're an investor that likes to use 5 different realtors because they might have a pocket listing that they share with you, that's not me. You're welcome to look and experience my free resources, but what really I'm looking to do is advise my clients from start to finish, from their first property to their last property. Now, it's not a pledge to use me forever, because I always feel like working for you is earning the right to work for you. But if you're not willing to sign an exclusive representation agreement, then that's just not the kind of business relationship that I can have with, at this time. And then, if you are still looking for that person year after year and we've signed that relationship agreement and I've helped you before, I'm going to help you again. So let's find out if we're a good fit at an investor strategy session, or just come to our next investment workshop. We hold them quarterly, and feel free to come to those. I'll invite you to those if you send me your email, and I'll put you on the list. So that's it. I'm Stacy Sanseverino, your realtor and wealth building advisor for life. Thanks for watching my Landlord 101.